to hear this. Somebody sent me this. I don't know why I didn't click on the link and see this, but I should have clicked on the link and watched it from the door. Gee whiz Louise. This is why even when I'm driving out there offline and online, I got to come in and make these videos. Because again, there are people who get scammed on this thing left and right. So this fellow Danny finally comes in and basically it was on the video the entire time. I should have clicked on it, explaining what the PSP, as I call PlayStation Portable, what does it mean by when it's made by scratch. So you got to listen to this. So first things first, over here, he states that the product, and this is what I'm talking about, websites that lie. He states that the product is made by scratch. A premium screen paint are made from scratch, not from over the counter. So you're talking about everything. When you said not from over the counter, it means nothing is made from over the counter. Second, the first paint we saw when we got the videos in it was nothing but water. It was literally nothing but water. Half of it was water, half of it was paint. It was some dumb nonsense. Again, you got to hear this. This is absolutely crazy when this guy is saying out of his mouth. And this is the reason why all paint should be tested, because of this nonsense. Check this out.
What happens to boring evening? This happened. Lego with Lego.
Presentation looks like a joke. It's a cartoon.
All right, folks, I'm going to try to make pretty short work of this and answer as many questions we've received as possible in a short period of time. So let's start with PSP design. All right, so what's different about the design of PSP versus Gobbledygook? That's been a big question. So Gobbledygook was primarily a group of polymers mixed with ink tints that built transparency transparency and diffusion enough to where it would provide transmission, which is one of the three things that light up.
Your first paint was nothing more than water and paint. That's what it was. It was nothing but water and paint. Because in the demonstration, when he went to go lean the container over, there was nothing but water in there. It was half water, half paint. You can clearly see that in the container. Second, and then videos also, he took the video off the account. Second, the other problem we had was the fact that the reason why it required for you to paint the screen in, you had to do like almost 40 to 23 strokes over the surface due to the fact that the paint wouldn't take, because it had literally so much water in the paint. So you're saying that the polymers and all that, that's bull crap. That stuff literally was full of water. Let me see, hold on for a minute. Let me find this real quick on this video real quick. Something told me, somebody sent me a link that you need to watch this. It is freaking crazy. Let me see, hold on for a minute. This is the reason why we need to have testing on screen paints. No doubt about it. They need to be tested because of this nonsense right here. People coming in with some of the just weirdest stuff that you could possibly think of. Just craziness. Here we go. Here we go. This is the video right here. So this is the video where he got busted because his products are basically nothing more than just water and paint. The alert and warn customers at the end of the day to be careful of these screen paint products. These are screen paint products at the end of the day that, not saying all of them. I can't stand people who lie in demonstration. Right, you know, we're bushy, right? Right there. That's your video. You deleted off your account right here. See right here? This is nothing but water right here. All this is water. This is nothing but paint. So pretty much customers were just getting basically half paint, half water. And he was claiming this was used as a delivery system. Mind you, I got that on recording of you stating it was a delivery system used to basically so the paint would evaporate and dry out. But you were just selling people watered down paint. This is where he blocks it out because he realizes that how much water you can see that's actually in his paint. So when it comes closer to the camera, he blocks it, this area right here. He's already shown it on camera what it is, so there's no need to block that section out. That's so you can't see the side of the container and see how much water's in there. Now see how he blocks this section right here? That's so you can't see how much water. But it's actually half water and half paint in here. So he comes in and says something completely different, that the goopy paint, whatever that is, was because of some polymer nonsense. No, that was half water and half paint. When he made the attempt to basically buy the product, drain the containers, come back to see if it's going to evaporate, he pulled the paint and came up with something else. That's why he pulled the product. That's nothing but a lie. Gee whiz, dude, you ever stop coming up with these lies at the end of the day? It's freaking unbelievable. See how he pops the top right here?
It's a half and half, that's all it is. So it's black and white.
See where it's
paint
darker
with
at the
half and half
bottom?
water.
That's basically paint and that is water at the top.
Now we got the room open. He can come in anytime he wants to and he can talk with us and explain this to us.
That's freaking water. All that's water.
Anytime you want to, you can come in here.
That's paint at the bottom right there, and that's water. So he was selling people watered down paints.
Half paint and half water. Here and here.
But this is what he explains why his product is different from the PSP. Listen to this nonsense.
All right, so what's different about the design of PSP versus Gobbledygook? That's been a big question. So Gobbledygook was primarily a group of polymers mixed with ink tints that built transparency and diffusion enough to where it would provide transmission, which is one of the three things that light does. It gets absorbed, it gets reflected, or it gets transmitted. That transmission provided additional ALR properties, or provided ALR properties to help even lighter screens stand up longer in light. PSP is a little different. Now it is.
Do you hear this bullcrap? Now, mind you, he just sat there and said right here in his caption of the paint, he says right here, now mind you, we already know it's water. The last one was water, all right? So this is the new stuff. Our premium screen paints are made from scratch, not over the counter. All right, let's see if that's basically, this is supposed to explain it, not show it, explain it. He's making all this from scratch. But there's a video of a cartoon and some animation crow. Come on, man, that's a joke at the end of the day. You can't even take that one seriously, honestly. Listen to this right here, what he says. I'll wait to see the whole demonstration. It's hilarious.
All right, folks, I'm going to try to make pretty short work of this and answer as many questions we've received as possible in a short period of time. So let's start with PSP design. All right, so what's different about the design of PSP versus Gobbledygook? That's been a big question. So Gobbledygook was primarily a group of polymers mixed with ink tints that built transparency and diffusion enough to where it would provide transmission, which is one of the three things that light does. It gets absorbed, it gets reflected, or it gets transmitted. That transmission provided additional ALR properties, or provided ALR properties to help even lighter screens stand up longer in light. PSP is a little different. Now, it is made from scratch. When I say made from scratch, what we do is we use a very thin binder. That is the glue in paint. We add, and it is an over-the-counter tint that we purchase because I don't make my own tint, but we had to find a neutral tint. So we work.
Dude, you're talking about the binder and paint. Do you have any idea how many different formulas make a binder in paint? And how extremely toxic these binders are? We literally just sat there and watched the demonstration where guy did this out of hazmatic suit and he mixed this by hand. There was a lot of chemicals going into that bucket. What are you mixing with a binder? You got flour and water in there? What is it? Because again, if it's a binder, that means basically there is a lot of chemicals going in to make that. And if the only thing you're getting over the counter is dye at the end of the day, then what the heck is the rest of the stuff going in there? Has it been tested? No, it hasn't been. He doesn't know what he's doing. At the end of the day, I guarantee it's just basic house paint. The same lies he told in the first one. He said it's some special leveling system, 4-coat application, and then find out it's nothing but water and paint to make it thin like a skin. But let's finish the rest of this.
With our friends at Sherwin-Williams, and they provided us some options for neutral tints, and we grabbed a couple of those, did some tests with them, and found the one that fit best for us. It's
Sherwin-Williams paint. I lie to you now. I guarantee you it's Sherwin-Williams paint. I guarantee you. Number one, dude, you can't make a paint from scratch. You don't have the zoning to even have the chemicals for that stuff to begin with, not enough the licensing to have it. There's no way in the world you can do that on your property. Like I say, you would have environment activists all over that place, all over the place. There's no way you can do that. Some of that stuff is toxic, explosive stuff, can cause cancer, all kinds of stuff. So, and again, you don't have a chemistry background in all, period. I don't even have a chemistry background at the end of the day. So I don't even know how that's even possible that you're able to obtain any of those chemicals to begin with without having any form of licensing to get their hands on it to begin with. No. That stuff is made out of Sherwin-Williams. You literally just told me what's in it.
A very thin mix. It's intended to be a thin mix, and I'll get to that in just a second.
Here come the water.
This is a handcrafted paint that is designed specifically for projection screens. So let's get into that next. Now, there are all kinds of paints designed to do all kinds of things. There's paint for your walls, paints for your car, paints for models, paints for the exterior of your house, paints that are resistant to heat. So there's paints for all kinds of things. And I'm kind of baffled by this whole argument that goes on out there in the community about the paint. And I know most of it's stemming from one person, but it's paint. Okay, it's paint that's bought over the counter, and then people mix things into it to try to make it better for projection.
Literally just said that on camera a couple of days ago, and been saying that all acrylic paints come from over the counter. What makes an acrylic paint different from any other paint is you have to show a difference. This is what tests are involved. You don't have any tests on any of your product. So as far as I'm concerned, your stuff is Sherwin-Williams, because that's what you mentioned. And I guarantee that's what it is. Oh my goodness, man. Danny, you haven't even been around long enough to know screen paint in the day. Crow goes back farther than you. Freaking, I would say I'm not a big fan of Crow, but he does go back farther than him. Sonic Chill goes back farther than you. I go back farther than you. You don't even know what the freak you're talking about. Literally don't know what you're talking about. My goodness. All of it's acrylic. Every last bit of it is acrylic. It's just how it's made. It makes one different than the other, and you have to provide tests to prove that. Gee whiz.
But the truth is what you want for your projection screen is a very thin coat of tint. That's what you want, a very thin coat of tint that is going to do certain things to enhance your image. You don't want thick, gloppy, viscous paint put on your screen. It's going to leave a lot of texture, and you don't want heavy texture on your screen. It's going to
problem with having a thin paint, let me explain something to you. Any imperfections that are going to pop up, everybody doesn't have perfectly smooth walls. So any imperfection you're going to have on your wall, that's the problem that Goose Screen had, and they fixed that problem. They had a form that was literally so thin that you had to sand the wall down for hours to get it perfectly flat. Any imperfections, because the coating was so thin, would push through and show up on the other end. If you're trying to paint over certain materials, you can't do it because, again, any texture to it. This means this is going to require a lot of sanding in order to get the surface perfectly flat so you can apply that application on. Products that are actually more thicker are easy to cover just about everything because they can cover all the imperfections that the surface may have. He doesn't know jack at the end of the day. Good gracious.
Impact your imagery. You're never going to get clarified images, good, clean, crisp images on a screen that's got just a buttload of texture. So once again, designed specifically for projection screens. Next up, reflective solids. Why is it important not to use reflective solids? whenever you're trying to improve your imagery? Well, one of the key things, folks use mica, and there's different grades of cosmetic mica. You can get it in a number of different colors. There's metallic paint, mostly like a silver metallic paint. There are different black metallics. There's all kinds of stuff out there. But here's the thing. The underlying reflective in that is going to be some sort of metal, right? Like aluminum, little steel chips or different metallic chips that they would use in there, mica. It's all going to have a silvery base. That silvery base will make.
Then I just sit there and tell you that majority of all screen paints, the gray ones, are made with a source of silver, some kind of metallic or something in it. If you put teaspoons in it, you won't see. You got to do a half and half, so the stuff shows. That's what they call the reflecting. That's the boost. Black is the toner, gray and white is the base, and basically silver and mica, whatever you want to use, is basically what you call the pop. Come on, man, that's old. People been doing that from 8 years back. That's nothing new.
Your screen whites look more silvery. So we stay away from reflective solids because you get closer to a true white whenever you're looking at darker screens when you do not use metallic solids, because they're always going to give you a silvery effect. Doesn't matter whether you use like the white cosmetic mica. Once you mix that white cosmetic mica into any kind of
This is an interesting theory. So basically, he threw Crow under a bus, clean under a bus. You realize what he just did. He had to remove the gray products because we were going to test that. So he has all black products. So now he's preaching that black products are better for basically for this, that, and the other. So he pretty much threw Crow under a bus. Because Crow preaches at the other end that gray screens are more superior. Oh, this is going to be interesting.
Formula and start to stir it up. All that white tint's going to go away, and you're left once again with those silvery reflective particles. All right, next up we got neutral imagery. Now, why is that important? Now, I know that many of you have probably seen discussions about this, but especially when you're dealing with paints, whether you know you're doing it or you don't know you're doing it because you just bought a paint that looked nice to you over the counter, you have a number of paints that are actually tertiary. And what that means is they use a whole bunch of different colors to mix up to make a gray or to come to something that comes to a black, but they won't be true. In other words, they won't be neutral. Your blacks may pull sort of a brown kind of color. Your grays may pull anywhere in the bluish green hue, anywhere in that color spectrum. They can.
What the freak are you talking about? You can buy gray paints gray, and basically the tradition of basically gray paint started with just black and white. That's it. You know, if you mix black and white, that makes gray at the end of the day. You're not adding like 20 different colors to get gray. Gee, whiz the weeds. You ever watch Biller, and you remember that science teacher was like, Biller. That's literally what I feel like I'm going through right now. This is hogwash.
Shift back and forth. You can also see, I've seen like with the Network Gray 773, it pulls kind of a manila color. Once again, a tertiary. I talked to the guys at Sherwin-Williams, not meant for projection screens, not a good product for projection screens, regardless of what it.
That's funny because it literally matched somebody who makes a screen paint. At the end of the day, buddy, this is going to be really bad for you. You talked all this trash. We can get your product down here. And I guarantee you that we'll go to Sherwin-Williams and I'm going to match your stuff. Because your stuff is nothing more. We get it down here, it is paint. There is nowhere in the world possible that you're making this stuff from scratch. I'm going to give you fair warning, Danny. You know what I'm capable of doing. Pull your website right now. You don't pull that website, we get that product over here, you're going to be in big trouble. Because I got a friend who got a lab. I'll take it over there and I'll get it tested. And I guarantee that paint products will pull up in there. There is nowhere in the world you're making this from scratch. Virtually impossible. It's Sherwin-Williams with some water in there. I guarantee it's something, but it's not what he said. If you say it's a thin coating, remember what happened with the thin coating with the other product? It was nothing but water. So I guarantee that's what it is. Gee whiz, he's not making any sense. No one puts color into gray paint at all, period. And Network Grade 773, if you say, well, it doesn't match screen paint, it did match someone's screen paint. It actually matched someone's screen paint right there in the middle of a live stream. So did, what do you call it? The Bear Personal Mix. No, sorry, the Bear Silver Screen versus Personal Mix. That also matched. Yeah, you better pray your stuff doesn't match any of the paint we picked out.
Anybody out there says it's a tertiary, you're never going to get a good neutral color image. You'll never get close to full color accuracy. So it's very important that whenever you're looking for things to put into a paint, that you make sure it's not something that's going to skew your colors. It's not going to pull blues, heavy blues, purples, aquas, any of that kind of stuff. And lastly, a more simple application. The PSP line will require generally 2 applications, 2 coats. The reason for that is because for it to be a 1-coat solution, you have to add particle. And you've heard me talk about particle in the past if you've watched the channel.
You know why it requires 2 applications? Because if you watched the demonstration where he had the water paint, you would have noticed that he didn't pass over the screen one time. We counted sometimes 23 to 43 passes over one surface due to the fact that the paint wouldn't take because he weakened it because he put so much water in it. That's why. And it's not a simple application. We literally read through the application. It's a freaking nightmare. I mean, literally, it feels like you're about to put the codes in for infinity continues at Contra. So no, the reason why you have to put that many applications in, because I guarantee it's water in it. And if he's already stating that it's a thin like film, it's water in it already from the door. And it's not a simple application. Go read through it.
Addition of particle is going to make the paint much thicker, which is going to lead to texture. So once again, going back to the earlier conversations, we want to keep as much texture off the screen as possible. So these have been made to do 2 coats, and you should be good to go. I'll have an application video up tomorrow that will show you just how simple it is to paint this over your existing screen as well as any new screen.
You said tomorrow, right? Look at the date at the bottom. This video was 7 days old. Let's see where I put it at. Oh, I just hit it right there for a minute. There we go, at the bottom, very bottom. The video is 7 days old. So it was 7 days ago. There's no application video. We never put one up. Let me read you through the application. First of all this is bullcrap. Let me explain it to you, Danny. This is all just talk. You got to back all this up. Show me some videos backing up everything you just said here. Show me a difference between your product and everyday house paint. Show me there's no match at all. Show me that. Because if you don't do those house paint tests, we will do them for you. This is bullcrap at the end of the day. Let's go read through your application, but you put down as simple. First of all, it's not made by scratch. It's Sherwin-Williams, I guarantee, with water in it. Second, let me see, let's go over here and look at this application craziness. I can't believe I'm reading through this. I know this thing by heart. Do you know that? I literally know his application lady from heart. His first one was so complicated that even he messed up and made mistakes in the video as he was showing you how to do the application because he really couldn't remember it because he made it so complex. We even have instructions on how to stir it in here. This is the application right here. And another problem we have here, you're telling people to put in 1/8 of a cup, 3/4 of a cup. You know, if you drop that into a paint sprayer, it'll eat through that in seconds in no time at all. That'll be gone. Majority, most of your paint in a paint sprayer is pretty much up in the air if you don't know if you know how to paint the screen correctly. But here we go. This is supposed to be, he said, simple instructions, right? Yeah, okay. And the video, keep in mind, where's the video at? There's no video there. This video is supposed to be there 7 days ago. So we got, let me see. You can read through it yourself. I actually got to post it to my Facebook account. Carefully move the formula around the screen to ensure that the screen is fully covered with the formula, avoiding quick roller thrust strokes that can slosh the screen, slosh the product off, slosh it off the screen. First things first, should have put that in there because, again, the customer doesn't know if they're doing a thrust or a stroke. They don't know. They're painting the screen for the first time, so they don't know. They're just painting the way they want to paint it because that's the way it should be. And if you feel that they're going to basically, and everybody's going to do it, everybody does it. Why they make drop cloth? Tell them put drop cloth around the screen. That's it. Problem solved right there. You tell them don't thrust it and stroke. They don't know what they're doing. At the end of the day, they don't know if I'm painting the screen. What do I mean by stroking and thrust? I'm used to that. I'm done. That's it. That's what I'm used to doing. Not instructions on how to roll a screen in. Let's see. Okay, it's lost it off the screen. Once you have the material spread across the screen, start on either side of the screen, applying a good amount of pressure, rolling on either side. Again, most people will not know what you mean by good amount of pressure unless you show them what do you mean by good amount of pressure. What kind of pressure am I supposed to apply to the roller? Am I too light? Am I too heavy? Everybody's pressure is not going to be the same thing. There we go. That's going to be a little problem right there. So right here it says, let's see, once you have the material across the screen, start on either side of the screen, applying a good amount of pressure, rolling either left to right or bottom to top of the screen in one full line, moving to the next line beside where you previously rolled ended. Repeat across the screen until you have a good even distribution of the formula on the screen. Next, starting on either side of your screen, repeat above but half over each previous roll, allowing only the weight of the roller, no pressure, to go across and back or up and down to smooth out any potential heavy road areas. Watch the video for any clarification. No video. And then it says repeat these steps twice. No. You want me to paint this in twice with all those freaking instructions attached to it? No. I would rather paint Crow's screen in before I paint this one in, because his is a little easy, definitely easier. Pour it out, done. That's it. Yours? No. No way in the world. I'm going to have to do it anyway for the demonstration. And if you're saying like, okay, the previous row, half on the previous row, what if the customer decides to go vertical, right? What if he decides to go this way and this way and this way? That means whatever he basically hit the roller at, he's going to figure out which one he hit, and previously it had half of it to roll it out. No, ain't nobody going to paint this in. Let's put it this way. Biggest problem you're going to have right now is any of the great paints, dark paint, pretty paints we're picking up, you match any one of those and we could paint those screens in just like that, because it's a one coat application. You can roll it in. If you're talking about, he's talking about, a heavy application is going to streak. Buddy, do you know what would happen if you were painting your room with any form of that acrylic paint and your wall streaked on you? That's the biggest lie you just told. It has a habit of streaking. So that means any paint sold by Sherwin-Williams, Home Depot, any of those paints, if you're painting your wall in, and you would have streak marks all over your wall from the paint. The paints are called streak proof. Behr 1050, streak proof. All those paints they have, they're streak proof. So basically, when you're applying this onto a wall, you don't have to worry about having streaks all on your wall because it's streak proof. If that wasn't the case, any acrylic paint that anyone used on a living room or used in a dining room or in a den or any place else would have streaks all through the wall. So thick paints don't do that. Thin paints, on the other hand, do have that issue. You can definitely streak a screen easier with a thinner paint than you can with a thicker one. Oh my goodness, this guy knows nothing at the end of the day. Your instructions are insane. They're definitely not simple. And I guarantee at the end of the day, that product that you have right there is just Sherwin-Williams and water at the end of the day. Because you keep talking about thin light coating. He said that the last time, and it was just nothing more than just water. There we go. It's the water paint.
Water paint. Literally, I just selling your.
Repeat it myself.
Water paint.
It's water paint. Look at this.
He didn't paint the magical line that he has on the chart that he instructed his
This is the
wife.
video he deleted,
Carefully
and we
do
got
this
a copy of it
and do
now. We kept it.
Where within any of our videos, not once have we said that you would get 4 containers. We said that you would do 4 applications.
Now, mind
that's
you,
not a mis-
look at this surface that's black. It's going to take him multiple times to hit this surface just to get it to blend. Paint, one coat, you got to hit that one time and you're done.
Stewards, because it was never actually stated. It's just a lie. It's just a smear.
Notice how he's not going all the way down and coming back up, because he's having a very difficult time applying it to the surface. That's why.
To scare people away from buying a Parte product by using
It's smearing all over the place. See right here? It's smearing. See how it's not taking? He rolled over this one spot multiple times and you can still see the black pushing through. Over here, it's gray because the screen's already gray. Over here, he's having a problem due to the fact it's not taken. And the reason why it's not taken because there's so much water in the paint, he weakened the product. And the reason why he has all this water in here because basically it's to thin the product out to make it seem like it's a skin and not an everyday house paint, which he claims. And then when you get the paint at your house and you see it's nothing but water in there, his excuse is it acts as a delivery system because the product will evaporate. Lies, lies,
Sound like
lies.
it's going to be super
Look at this, look at
complicated.
this.
And also that the whole thing was a lie. That's not the truth. So no 4 containers, no 4 colors. And as you can see, the application, now I'm actually going back and forth on this first panel a lot more because at the time I was actually doing the narration as a part of the video.
No, you're going back and forth on the application multiple times because it's not taken to the surface. That's
Nope, because if you look at it right here, see it's still black here. Over here, yeah, it's gray. That's why. And you can see basically, even when he brings the roller all the way back, the screen right here is not even taken. You can see spots right in here. Yeah, man, Partey, you're a liar. That's all to it. You just get on camera, you talk all this nonsense, and you lie. You need to back up everything you said in that video. So this is the reason why I told you. This is why they need to have these test restrictions put in, because you're going to get more and more people who are going to watch this guy get away with it, and they're going to do it. And then they're going to do it, and they're going to do it, and they're going to do it. And next you know, you're going to be flooded with a whole bunch of these jokers all over the freaking internet doing the same dumb things like he's doing right now. Same thing like the knockoff projectors. We didn't have any knockoff projectors when I was doing screen paints. You bought actually real projectors. And then somebody popped up with one and they loosened the strings and let it go by and no one caught it. And now they're flooding all over the place. And people that are buying for the first time, they bump into these nightmares and that's where they end up with. Some even bump into the bigger nightmares that cost thousands of dollars. Look at this right here. I don't know, he counted how many times he passed the screen.
surface because the surface is not taken. Now imagine you're going to be doing a 100-inch screen, 4 feet by 7
See that
feet.
gritty
You
area?
not only have to
Screen's
paint this
not
screen
taken.
one time, but you're going to be doing multiple rolls. Because
And then he talks about the bubbles, because there's bubbles, yeah, going to pop up because the water is not blending with the paint. Or that's just an oxygen releasing system. Dude, you literally could have wrote a novel for Star Trek. There's so many lies on this. Look at this, how many times he has to roll over the screen.
full creation. That's what he said? Gee whiz.
That's a big bad thing to happen, right? So you want to try to keep that from happening as much as possible. That's part of the creation and design of this material, is that what you're going to see is a lot of little bubbles, right? So keeping in mind, this is more like using plastics or resins. So you're going to get some bubble creation. Now, generally in resins, that's a big bad thing to happen.
Bubble creation. Let me see some regular.
Just literally making it up as he goes along. Bubble creation, releasing oxygen. Look at this right here. Look at the surface when he gets done. Gee whiz, man. I told you this guy just lies on camera 24/7. This is a whole new epitome of lies. Wait, what is it right here? Here we go.
You see that this is now dry, and you can see
Do you see how awful that freaking looks? That's what your projection screen's gonna look like on the first coat. You see how nasty that looks? It's like someone painted your screen with oatmeal.
the pattern's still there. Everything's still there from the first coat.
Now you've seen this part right here covered because this was already gray. This is black. He couldn't even cover this part because the paint was so thin and so weak. Oh man, I swear, I'm already shaved and showered. I'm ready to get dressed. I'm gonna pop out the door, take care of this real quick. Somebody sent me that video. It's like, you didn't see this? I was like, no, I didn't see that right there. He says, actually right there where he puts a link right there to this video. And then the video looks like a complete, I mean, no one's gonna take that serious, man, at the end of the day. Hey, pop this over to AVS. Oh, I would love for you to pop this over to AVS forums and see what their opinion would be on this freaking video right here. I'm definitely gonna get a copy of this, because I'm definitely popping this over at AVS forums. Have people listen to this. They're gonna laugh their heads off on this. Anything he talked about here, it just, because he got no way of backing it up. No way of backing it up at all, period. And it's made out of a binding material. Man, you guys, and he said he got the dyes over at Sherwin-Williams. First of all, Sherwin-Williams is not going to sell you the dyes or pigments. They're not going to sell you any of that stuff to begin with. That's how they make their money at the end of the day. Whatever freaking stuff they drop into those cans of paint, they won't even tell you what it is. I actually one time I was asking, they was pouring some black pigment, something. I was like, hey, what is that on the container? And they wouldn't even tell me at all, period. No, they're not going to tell you. Because then you could go in there and make it yourself. You wouldn't even need to go in there and basically work with them at the end of the day. But you would still have to buy white paint at the end of the day and put that dye into it. That's what you would have to do. But you still would have to make the white paint from scratch. Still involves a ton of chemicals at the end of the day. And again, restrictions and policies and all this stuff you're going to need at the end of the day in order to do that, to make the white paint by itself, to add the pigment into it. And they won't even tell you what the pigment is because in fear that you may have a painting company and you can just buy a whole bunch of white paint and just change any color you want, get a paint shaker and put them out and basically make your own paint at the end of the day and basically, I don't know, come in competition, put them out. I don't know at the end of the day, but they're not going to tell you what it is. That's why they're just going to any freaking place like Coca-Cola, going through a total Coca-Cola. Hey, do me a favor. What's that secret ingredient? They're not going to tell you that. That's a freaking lie. Stop lying so much. All right, people, as I said before, I wouldn't go near it with a 10-foot pole. And as I said before, this stuff would match any form of glidden paint at the end of the day. And the reason why it's so thin, because there's a lot of water in it. That's basically about it. Like he did the last one. This is a video also went missing off his account. And there, basically, he just mixed it with water and just claimed to have a thin light coating. The same amount of lies and nonsense he has with this one. All right, gotta go. Thank you all. Be careful and God bless.